Hi, y'all. It's Jasmine, whatever you want to call me. And this is the first episode of my podcast called The Potter's Clay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This first episode is just going to be a introduction, a meet and greet, get to know me type of vibe. I'm just going to go over basically like how this all came to be before we get into the nitty gritty in the next few episodes. So, as you know, the title, The Potter's Clay podcast. You might be wondering where that came from. The potter's clay came to me. To be honest, to be completely honest with you, I was looking up names. I'm not as creative as I feel like I want to be, but so I needed some help getting the juices flowing. So I was looking up names, and immediately when I seen the potter's clay, I was like, that is so perfect. Like that fits me so well. And basically, what it means to me is like the walk with Christ, right? Like our journey with God, we're constantly being like reshaped, we're constantly being molded by our trials, by our experiences, by the lessons we learn into the person who we are and the person that God made us to be, right? So God would be the potter, we're the clay, and we're constantly being molded and shaped into something beautiful by God. So that really spoke to me when it comes to the different temptations and challenges we face in life. I was like, that is it. Like immediately when I seen it, it was done for. That's my name. Especially when I looked it up and I didn't see another podcast named that. That's how you know it was meant for me. Um, well, basically, it just emphasizes the fact that every day brings new challenges and new things that we have to face. And we constantly need to look towards God to overcome those things. Like, if you get a dent, if someone's spinning some clay on a pottery wheel and it gets a dent in it, right, the potter has to come through with the water and with his hands and reshape it to redefine it and recreate it into what he had for it to be. So the same is with us, right? The things that we go through, the challenges, y'all get what I'm saying, the obstacles. God constantly uses different things in our lives to reshape us into what it is he has for us to be. We're constantly being worked, stretched, and reshaped. And sometimes the process may feel uncomfortable. Like if you ever think of like pottery, it gets very messy. I know me personally, before I started all this, I went to a pottery class just to like really experience it. It definitely gets very, very messy, as do our lives, right? So just to relate it on like a more physical, visual level for you to understand, that's where the name came from. My purpose for starting the podcast, real plain, real simple, right? God had been calling me, knocking on my door, like trying to get my attention every way possible. I was straight ignoring it every time. Was not answering the phone calls, was not answering the door, was peeking out the curtains, trying to hide. Yeah, that was me. Um, and I finally came to a place in my life with the right type of support around me that has really encouraged me to take this leap of faith into what God has for me. So I'm done hiding and I'm here to show up. For me, for God, for y'all, I'm here for it. Basically, I knew that this was something that God had for me because one, like, it wasn't just like a passing by thought. Like, y'all, I've been dwelling on this for like a year. Like, really, really a year. And once I felt like God placed, I've recently had some people come into my life that I feel like God really like handpicked and placed in my life. And as soon as I brought this up, it was immediately like, there's no ifs, ands, and buts, you're doing it. And I really feel like it just aligns exactly with the purpose that God has for me and who I am and the role that I am meant to play on this earth. So I just like literally internally, it was like He aligned the stars for this, you know? So I just knew within me, like my bones, like my spirit just knew that God had this for me. And what did he have for me, right? Like not just a podcast, not just a platform, but I feel like God really called me to create a space that welcomes vulnerability when it comes to talking about the different trials, tribulations, challenges we go through, right? I feel like he has called me to create this space because I feel like oftentimes there's a shame or an embarrassment that comes with speaking about your your challenges, speaking about your burdens, the things that you're going through, the things that you're struggling with. I feel like oftentimes people try to hide those things, keep them to themselves because of the way that it might be viewed. That's not cool with me. We're getting it out there, we're putting it out in the air, because you never know how your testimony can impact someone. You never know what other people might be going through and how they may be able to help you through those periods of time, right? So this is the space that I'm creating. We're putting it all out on the floor, and we're being as vulnerable as we could possibly be, because you might be the only Bible that someone ever reads, right? I also really want to just create a space of unity, helping people realize that we all go through things and it's okay. It's how God makes us who we are, right? We wouldn't be us if we didn't have to go through these various things that we go through in life. I wouldn't be Jasmine if I didn't go through all the things that I went through in my life. You wouldn't be you, right? So just coming together in those conversations and sharing those topics and comforting each other and building a community off of it is really what I feel like God has called me to create. So, like I said, I'm showing up. I'm here. Hi, nice to meet you. A little about me, so you can just know who I am and you're not talking to a crazy stranger lady. In my life before Christ, I feel like my life before God was, in the most plainest sense, unintentional. I feel like a lot of the stuff that I did, I didn't. Don't get me wrong, like I was a responsible kid. I stayed on track with those type of things, but I feel like a lot of the things that I morally value in life, the way I went about those things was very unintentional, right? I could say that I valued them a lot and all those things, but I didn't really act like it. I feel like my life before Christ, I feel like I had to change from who God created me to be to have value in certain situations. And I really just was like, I don't know, like I was not walking it how I was talking it, in the most plainest sense. So it was just unintentional. Like life was just life. And don't get me wrong, I was a kid. Like I really started building my relationship with Christ about 2 years ago, when I turned, well, I was probably around 19, 20. So before Christ, it was very I was a younger age, but I feel like I still hold myself just as accountable, because at the same time, some things that you do, no matter how old you are, you know you're not supposed to be doing those things, right? So yeah, it was just really, really unintentional. My walk with Christ was initially started by losing someone really close to me. It made me really, really question everything about life, right? Like, what's our purpose? Why are we here? What's the point of it all if we're just gonna die? Um, what is the point of everything? And I feel like I could only get those answers from God. And even though in the beginning they might have been coming from a very hurt and angered place, one thing that I've definitely learned is that when you ask God a question, He's always going to answer. Whether it's the answer you want or not is a different story, right? But He doesn't leave a question unanswered. So when I asked Him those things, the answers He gave me really, really shifted my perspective. It made me realize a lot of things about how I'd been spending my time and where I'd been placing my values. And it really switched my focus on a lot of things. Yeah, like I feel like I look at life like in a completely different light now. It's really crazy to like even think about. Like I'm losing myself in thought here as I'm talking about it, but it's just crazy to even think back to. Um, ooh, child. I really learned to take that tragedy that I feel like I had faced and use it as motivation and use it as fuel to become and to live better and to better align myself with God. Um, it's crazy. It's crazy to even think about. I really had to shift my focus, right? I came to the realization that sometimes things have to be removed out of our lives. Sorry, y'all, my computer is about to die. Sorry, not a good first impression, but we're back. We're here. We're showing up. basically, I was just talking about how sometimes I feel like God has to remove certain things out of our lives, not in like a sometimes in a literal sense, but remove certain things out of our lives to real for us to realize that we were idolizing them over him and his purpose for our life. And I feel like that takes a lot of renewing of your mind to understand, and we'll get there, we'll get into that. But yeah, it really just changed my perspective on a lot of things, and I feel like God really redirected my focus through that, and I'm like eternally grateful for that. Some of the challenges I have faced on my walk with Christ, learning to be okay with not being perfect. Like, just plain as that. Like, learning to be okay with not having to be perfect. Like, we are created in God's image and his likeness with his power and authority, right? So, learning to understand that is like so deep. We serve such an intentional God, and I really had to come to learn and understand the fact that I was not meant to be made perfect. Like, I am perfect for who God created me to be. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't mess up when he creates us, thinks of us, anything. He's so intentional with everything he does. So to ever think that something is wrong with me as who I am, like, just in my most bland sense, like, to ever think that I had to be perfect, like, what even is perfect? But learning to be okay with just being who I am and being comfortable in my own skin, was really a big challenge for me. Having to unlearn traits that I thought were protecting me. For example, like, growing up as a girl, I feel like it's instilled in us that we have to be like so independent, right? Like, we don't need a man and all this stuff. I feel like that really manifested in me to like an extreme state, to the fact where I was so hyperly independent that I wasn't even allowing myself to be dependent on God. I constantly had to be in control. So learning to really have faith in God's plan and relinquishing that control in my life and having to just be content with what it is that God has for me and the timing that he has it for me in was a really big challenge. And let me tell you, in the beginning, when I first learned to just be content with it all, life was like smooth. Like, if you just think of like the smoothest thing that you ever touched, that's how life felt. Like, so smooth and so peaceful, right? Um, it's so important to have to relinquish control. For example, in Zechariah 4:6, it says, "Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, This is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts." Basically meaning by through God. Like, these things are done through God, not by how much control you have over the situation, right? Not by how much you think you have to do, if that makes sense. Like, no matter how much work we put in, no matter how much we think that we have a grip on things, God is in control. And just learning to be content and be at peace with just letting him be in control and stop stressing yourself out over having to have every single thing exactly how you feel like it needs to be, instead of just letting God do his thing. That's such a big thing, and it's so important that we learn to come to that realization that we are not the ones in control. We are not the writers of the story. If you really think about it, like, we're really not. It's bigger than us. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you, right? Um, to currently to be in a state of currently relinquishing control, it feels good because I feel a lot more confident when it comes to how life plays itself out, right? Like, when things don't happen, I feel like I don't get disappointed as much, right? Because if it's meant for me, if God hasn't meant for me, then it's meant for me and it can never be taken away from me, right? If it's not meant for me, that doesn't mean that I'll never be able to achieve it. That just means I'm not in the season for me to be able to handle it in the right way, or it's not meant for me. And why would I ever want anything that God has not predestined for me? I don't want anything in my life that God has not gave to me. So I just came to the realizations of, if it wasn't meant to be, then it wasn't meant to be, and that's a good thing, because I don't want anything that God don't have for me, right? And don't get me wrong, sometimes there's disappointment, but I've also come to the place of being able to realize, like, if it doesn't happen right now, either A, it wasn't meant for me, or B, that doesn't mean it won't ever be meant for me. Maybe this just isn't my season. This just isn't my time to be able to handle it in the best way with the highest potential, and maybe it will come back around. So just learning and growing while I'm in that waiting phase to be able to maturely nurture this thing, right? Um, yeah, because oh yeah, my notes is good. Because of course in Romans 8:28 it says, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. And to relate that back, right, all things work together for good for those who love God. So you have to love God, and it's not just believing in God, it's not just praying to him when you want things, like genuinely having a spirit of love and having a relationship with God. But it also, the second half always, I feel like, gets cut off, for those called according to his purpose, right? So that does not mean all things that you want work together for good. It means all things that God has for you works together for your good. Whether you realize this is for your good or not is a you thing. But I've come to the place where, like, I realize that the things that God has for me is so good and so just such a blessing. And if it isn't something that God has for me, then I don't want it. Don't even want it. Don't even want to talk about it. Think about it. None of that. Right? So that's a little bit about me, the things that I've been through, how I got here, how I'm talking to you right now, right? Um, Now to dive into what I feel like the podcast, what this is actually going to look like, just so you can know what you're getting yourself into. It will basically be a podcast centered around temptation, and that's in like the broadest sense. Temptation to me is an obstacle that is actively opposing you from what you know you should be doing, right? Temptation to me is the flesh, right? And temptation is anything that you're on the right track, and you have something that is in your way that is trying to actively get you to get off of that route, right? Whether it's convenience, whether it's greed, whether it's lust, whether it's whatever your temptation is in your life, right? In a more literal sense, whether it's a burger, whether it's a significant other, whether it's a job, right? Something that is actively opposing you, that you know you're on this track to go to this place, and you have this thing right here, that devil on your shoulder that is constantly whispering in your ear, that you know you don't need, that you know you don't really want, but you're fighting those things on like a daily basis. That is what we're going to cover. So hopefully right now you're able to think of what it is in your head, so I can get some ideas from y'all. Like, this is a shared space. This is a mutually beneficial relationship. Um the podcast is for, although I'm speaking from a young woman's perspective, right? When I really got to thinking about it, I feel like the podcast is really for anyone, right? Like, literally anybody. Like, whether you're 15 years into your relationship with Christ, whether you've been a pastor's kid and you grew up in church your whole life, or whether you just started yesterday, we all have to fight the flesh daily. Daily. So it's for everybody. Anybody. Your mama, your granny, your daddy, your cousin, your sister, baby daddy, 3 kids, all of them. I hope you guys gain comfort, community, encouragement, and liberation from this podcast. I hope you guys are able to feel more comfortable with being who you are, and really embracing the things that you've went through and how they created you, who you are today. Community, I hope that we are able to grow together, learn together, and really just create a shared, comfortable space. Encouragement, the days that it gets really hard and really tough, I hope some of these things you can really reflect on and take with you, and be an encouragement and a motivation to you on those days or in those periods of times or those seasons of your life. And liberation, I really hope that this really frees us from the feeling of being, I don't know, stuck, unloved, depressed, whatever it is that you're fighting. I really hope that this helps you become free from those things and really just be liberated by the liberator. Okay. Long-term vision. God willing, mama, we made it. We become rich. No, I'm playing, but for real. Um, I would love to make devotionals one day. Baby steps, but one day make devotionals. Somebody get me on a TED talk. Like, I'm trying to be an Emmy Moore, Emmy Brookins. Shout out to you. Yeah, like I really want to be able to utilize my platform to the fullest extent. Like, I want the whole world to hear what God has for me to say. Okay? Long term. Biggest vision you could think of. So, main point, last point for me to really get some word into y'all. The potter's clay. I really have a core value like verse. It's Jeremiah 18:5 and 6. And it says, of course, I did not put it on here. Pardon me, y'all. So I have my handy dandy iPad on me at all times. I am an iPad kid. If you're not, it don't have to be your cup of tea. It's mine, though. I just feel like it's ghetto for the Bible app to put advertisements on here, but that's just me. Pardon me, pardon me, pardon me. Pray for me. Pray for me. All right, Jeremiah 18:5 through 6. King James Version, because I'm a real deal Baptist baby. But verse 5 starts with, Then the word of the Lord came to me, saying, verse 6, O house of Israel, can I not do with you as this potter, saith the Lord? Behold, as the clay is in the potter's hands, so are ye in my hand, O house of Israel. So, to me, this verse really came out as, do you think I can't use you? Do you think that because you went through all these things, all these different things that may be like so traumatic and so hateful and evil and violent, that God can't mold you to be however he wants you to be? That he can't renew you? Like, that's really how I looked at it. Like, do you really think that I can't do with you as a potter does his clay? Like, really sit on that. Because of what you're going through, the choices you've made, never think that you aren't unable to be made into something beautiful, no matter how you start off or what it looks like throughout the process. Is really, really what it took from me. Like, when I went to the pottery class, it literally started out with like a lump of course it's clay, but it looked like a lump of mud on a little circle wheel. Like, and being able to really sit down and use the water, right? But say the water is like the word of God. Say the water is your environment, your friendships, your everything in your life, everything that has an effect on you, using that water to shape the clay and mold it, right, into something beautiful. And even when you get like a small dent, right, being able to reshape it, being able to go back and being able to fix those small little hairline fractures or those big lumps that you have in there, really being able to shape those things, really shifting my perspective into how God can really use me, can really do, like, it's just beautiful, y'all. It's just beautiful to me. Woo, he's just so intentional. He is our creator. He is our potter. And I'm the clay. Like that one song. Forgive me, I don't know who sings it, but it's a safe space here, like I said. So to be molded by the potter really means to consecrate our flesh. And I had to make sure I got the definition for to consecrate. And consecrate means to be set apart and cleansed in order to be used for God's purpose. Now that's a Jasmine definition from the actual definition. But to consecrate our flesh, right, to take the worldly things and the worldly desires that we have in our lives, to set them apart and really cleanse them, cleanse ourselves from those things in order to be used according to God's purpose and God's will for our life. I related it to Matthew 16:24, where 24 through 28 is the whole passage. I'll read it, but verse 24 starts with, Then Jesus said to his disciples, Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. Verse 25, For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. Verse 26, What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? Verse 27, For the Son of Man is going to come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will reward each person according to what they have done. Verse 28, Truly I tell you, some who are standing here will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming to his kingdom. And verse 24, like to really consecrate your flesh, right? Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, right? Deny your flesh to set apart. take up their cross and follow me. To take up your cross and really follow God is to cleanse yourself from those things, to pray that you no longer have a desire for those things, for the taste to be removed out of your mouth, and to then to rightly align yourself with God. I feel like that's really what it comes to when it talks about to be molded and to be shaped by God, right? To remove the lumps, to fill in the fractures, to really be shaped is to really consecrate your flesh, to take up your cross, deny yourself, right? So I say all that to say we are works in progress. We'll always be a work in progress until the day comes. And you know what I'm talking about, the day. We will always be able to be shaped, to be renewed, we will always be able, we are not who we are today. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to be who we are today. God can use us no matter what you do. Broken crayons still color. And my pastor has this saying he says, we are imperfect people serving a perfect God. And that really just sticks out to me. Like, nobody's perfect but God. So don't think that you really have to be, right? So that was a lot, y'all. Was it? I think it was. Next episode, we're really going to be getting into the Genesis, right? That's going to be a little taste for y'all. The Genesis is going to be what it's going to be titled. And we're really going to get into, like, the beginning of it all. So y'all know I gotta hit the follow, share, let's grow together, hit the like button, whatever you're watching this on, show some love, you know. Um, so I think it's important to leave off with a question of how is God shaping you? How has He been trying to shape you? And you're running away from it. You're constantly making the dents yourself. How is God shaping you? In what ways in your life, right? I feel like that's really deep and that we really need to be able to reflect and analyze on those things. So how is God shaping you? Think on that over the week, over the month, over the year, however long. Take your time. Take your time, Pastor. So I just want to do a quick little prayer. Pray us out. I know. Who am I? Who is this girl? Okay, so dear God, thank you for today. Thank you for watching over us, keeping us safe. Thank you for bringing these listeners to my podcast and just allowing us to truly meet and greet one another. And I pray that anyone who has watched or listened today, Lord, I pray that you please continue to allow them to see the ways your hand is working and moving in their lives. I pray that you open their eyes and hearts to be shaped by you in the ways that you have for them, even though it may not be the ways that they want, God. I pray that you just continue to support them and watch over them and give them strength on their journeys, God. And I just want to thank you. Thank you for this first episode. Thank you for everything you've been doing in my life, God. And I just can't wait to see everything that you have for me. And I just pray that you continue to watch over us, keep us safe in our daily travels, God. And I pray all these things in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. That was a lot, y'all. But that's it. That's what I have for y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Next episode will be coming out real soon. Leave something in the comments. Tell me how I did. Should I do a survey? No, I'm just playing. But yeah, it was nice to meet y'all. Love y'all. See y'all next time.